Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Denver, Colorado, it's time for Franchise Bible Coach Radio. Now, here are your hosts.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Franchise Bible Coach Radio podcast with Rick and Rob. I'm Rick Grossman, and I'll be your co-host today with my partner in crime over there, Rob Ganley. And I'll introduce him in just a moment, and he'll go right into the initial questions we have. But we have a very special guest today, folks, Adam Povlitz from Anago Cleaning. And they have an amazing franchise system. I actually interviewed Adam probably over a year and a half ago, I think it was, wasn't it, Adam?
At least it was right after Hurricane Irma.
Yeah, maybe 2 years. Yeah, but I had the pleasure of meeting you back then and learning about your awesome company. And now we meet again to discuss how to get through the crazy times we're facing here. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce my co-host, Rob Ganley, and he's going to get right into the questions and so we can learn more from Adam today. Hey, Rob.
Hey, hello, everybody. And hi, Adam. I appreciate you being on the interview with us today. And we're excited to hear from you because we know that, as we talked about a little earlier, your industry is certainly being affected in a very interesting way to the latest and greatest what's going on in our world. And so I wanted to kind of dive in. But before we get into the specifics of today, maybe you could share a little bit about your brand, a little bit of yourself and how you became president and CEO of Anago Cleaning and go from there.
Sure. So kind of a quick overview. Anago Cleaning Systems is a now 31-year-old three-tier commercial cleaning franchising company. The easiest way to explain the business is if you were to imagine that the commercial cleaning industry, it really actually has two functions in their business, right? There's the daytime aspect, the client sales, the customer service throughout the daytime, the invoicing and collections. And then it also has the nighttime aspects, right? So actually servicing the buildings, understanding and using the equipment and the chemicals, recruiting employees to help, clean multiple buildings. And so what our model actually does is I'm at the corporate office, if you will, and we sell the master franchise opportunity. The master does the proverbial daytime aspects, and then the master in their region sells the unit franchises, and they handle the nighttime aspects. So it's kind of a simple way to think of cleaning rather than in terms of job functions, but as in kind of time of day. I've been with Anago now for 11 years, going on 11 years. My background is I was actually a finance guy. I was a IBM corporate finance person for a little while and had one of those aha moments when you find out that, things for IBM, in the multiple $100,000 range end up being, proverbial rounding error. When they're forecasting their budgets. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong, great company. I got nothing negative to say about them, but you go, rounding error for several $100,000 when I was working on a budget, back in 2008. Something clicked in me, and I go, great company. I could get the proverbial gold watch and have a great pension from here, but it wasn't a place I was ever going to make an impact. I think I was one of 200,000 plus employees or something at the time. And so my father reached out to me. It was around the holidays and said, hey, I think you got to check this franchise thing out I got going on. And about 6 months later, the rest is history. And actually started, Rick knows this. He started me out. He goes, congratulations, you left your highfalutin finance job. And your first job at Anago is you're going to be a telemarketer by day and a franchisee's assistant at night cleaning a daycare. And so it was very, very humbling, very useful. It was at the time it was a pain. I'm not going to lie to you. It definitely gave me a ton of perspective on what a lot of folks looking to own their own business are going through and dealing with, and the hours that come with it. So good experience. But so now what is it? 11 years later, I guess I get to make a few decisions around here. They finally trust me, and
You
so
don't have
here
to
I am.
clean the daycare anymore, do you?
If that's what it takes.
Not anymore. Yeah. Hey, but you know what? Exactly. Not afraid to. I have an 18-month-old now, and so she's an 18-month-old with opinions, mind you. She has opinions now.
It doesn't take long.
and so I'm somehow diving back into that aspect of the world again, but this time maybe a little bit more, more willingly.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. Real quick, I'll just chime in and say, I totally resonate with what you said. I started in the franchise industry in the early 2000s, and I was in corporate America in the technology industry, in the internet side of things. And IBM was a key player in everything we did, right? Everything, the hardware, the software, different things. But I was in that world and totally understand the feeling that you had, that just wanted to make an impact. And I found my way to franchising that way as well. But again, it is a different world comparing it to the big corporate world. So yeah, that I can tell you.
Oh yeah.
That's great.
It's different. Yeah, and Adam, how many units do you guys have now?
Now we are over 1,700 units and 43 master franchises across U.S. and Canada.
Nice. Well, as we move into the next question, I'll kind of two-part it for you since we talked about your franchise growth too. But, we're in the middle of the Fight for Your Franchise Challenge. And basically that was an initiative that we came up with to try to help our franchisors and franchise owners across the globe get through this time, and just our way of giving back to the industry that we love. And we're kind of at the second half of that program, and we're talking to industry leaders like yourselves. We're looking for gold nuggets. We're looking for things that we can share with franchisors and franchisees that are struggling out there, or ones that are innovating, or folks just to kind of help them get up and keep going. So when you guys look at the last couple of months in your business, how has COVID-19 shaped your new normal? How have you adapted your business model for on the customer side? And then I'll ask you about the franchise side too. Let's start with the customer side.
Sure. So I mean, obviously, big picture, this thing was nothing anybody expected. To have something shut down a global economy is not anything anybody went into 2020 thinking was even the remotest of possibilities. So,
right.
Taken aback, shocked by it, absolutely. And obviously anyone who is personally affected by it or tangentially by it, as an essential worker or healthcare worker, we obviously appreciate anybody and who's helping out and doing their share on that. But for our business, there was definitely an initial pullback. We had a lot of customers saying, look, we're being told we have to close for, state or county mandated closures. And so, we're going to be putting your services on pause. And so there was definitely a good sized pullback that we experienced at Anago during, call it late March and through April. But coming out of it, we saw for commercial cleaning, at least, a huge opportunity, because as we return to the new normal, what we're seeing is the paradigm has shifted. How about this? It used to be at the beginning of the year, I actually read a study from Building Service Contractors Association International that said, what is the number one? They surveyed a bunch of companies and said, what do you feel about your cleaning company, and what are your goals? And the number one thing that was responded to was, we'd like to minimize our budget on what we spend on commercial cleaning. Coming out of this COVID situation, instead of being an item to minimize or a budget item to get the cheapest one of, suddenly customers are coming to us as infection prevention experts and saying, how do I make sure my employees are safe? How do I make sure my employees or my guests or my customers or whatever it may be are comfortable coming back? Because the new normal, is a much cleaner place, frankly, just to continue stopping the spread of this, or let's be real. I mean, that, there's been one of these types of diseases that, has affected us every few years, and, Lord knows what's out there. And so we had to get very good and very versed at disinfection very quickly. And so we actually went ahead and we put together our best and brightest. We actually put together a complete procedural manual and program that we can use to certify our franchisees in disinfection procedures. Totally different from cleaning, right? You have to educate people the difference between cleaning and disinfection. Cleaning is just removing dirt and oil and soil, whereas disinfection, actually you have to clean first, and then once you've cleaned, then you're able to spray a chemical disinfectant that has a certain dwell time, that's rated for certain viruses and bacteria that it can kill. And so these are add-on processes, and done incorrectly, you might have the squeakiest clean germs still left on your desk because you didn't kill anything. So to be able to make sure our franchise owners knew how this worked, get them the best equipment and procedures, certify them so that when you're going to a customer, you're able to say, look, we've undergone training. We had to take a test. We're not just walking in here with, a proverbial, rags and buckets and mops and saying, oh yeah, we're disinfecting. We're really doing what we're saying.
Wow. Well, that's got to have a huge impact. One of the things that Rob and I have been able to identify in the last couple of months working through this initiative with franchisors and franchise owners is that one of the number one or two highest priorities for getting back to the new normal, which is our theme this week, is your customer base has to feel safe, and they have to feel like they can trust. And whether you be a restaurant or a daycare center or a dog grooming place, wherever you work or whatever service you provide, the thing that's going to bring the customers back into your establishment is trust and knowing it's going to be safe. And so your business is a solution for everybody out there that wants to be able to present that to their client base.
Exactly.
We're not selling cleaning anymore, right? We actually are in the business of peace of mind. We're in the business of safety now. And so we take it at that level of seriousness when approaching a prospective or an existing customer.
That's great. And the second part of that question is, how has it affected your franchise growth and your recruiting? And, I've talked to some franchisors that have put that part of their business on the back burner until things kind of get back to normal. I have some that are selling more franchises than ever, and it's just a focus depending on your business model. How have you guys handled that?
I think it went similar as the client side of the business. There was definitely a pause when there was all the uncertainty over the last couple of months, and now we're seeing a huge uptick in inquiries for both the master and unit level franchises. On the master side, right, obviously that's the larger regional territory, again, handling the marketing and the sales, the daytime aspects. We're seeing a lot of people who are seeing the opportunity in front of them, right? They're seeing the potential growth curve in commercial cleaning and going like, wow, wait a minute, this is something that it's not going to get outsourced to, to China or India or wherever. This isn't something that's going to get replaced by Amazon. Oh, and by the way, the industry's about to boom. And so, it has all of the right ingredients to be a successful major, second career for professionals like that. And then we're also seeing that on the unit level, frankly, on both levels, right? How many people found out that they were not essential? God, you got to love the government for using these words to make people feel terrible about themselves sometimes. But do you find out you're not essential? You're not, what you do for a living to put, food on your family's table isn't essential. Non-essential. And so, it made a lot of people rethink their careers. They were, people were laid off, people were furloughed, people were unable to work. Whereas commercial cleaning has been deemed an essential industry, clearly, right? I mean, you don't want to fire the people that are, tasked with cleaning up the mess while in the middle of the mess. And so there's been a renewed interest in the unit franchise side as well, just because people are going, wait a minute. So rather than being a number that can get laid off or furloughed or whatever, right at the first signs of distress for my old company, I can own my own business. I can, and so nobody's going to lay me off anymore. I'm the last to go. I'm the owner. And it's in an industry where during the 08-09 recession, I think our worst year, as a system, we shrank around, it was just around like maybe 2%. This year, we're going into COVID. I've been asked this a few times. They said, well, how is your business growing year over year? I go, well, if you look at just April compared to April 2019 looks like night and day, right? It looks terrible. But if you look at my year to date, 2020 versus my year to date 2019, I'm up 5%, right? I mean, this is an industry that's growing, and people are taking it more seriously rather than something that they dismiss. So it's an incredible time to get into commercial cleaning.
Yeah. You summed it up right at the end there, because you've now taken something that's recession proof and added an element to it that becomes not only essential, but critical for other businesses in this economy to have, to convey that level of trust with their clients, right? Because they can get that seal of approval from you guys that says, this is done right, it's done properly, here's how, here's why. And they need that kind of a company now to rely on. And now you have a not only essential, but an element of your business that with the sanitation side of things and disinfectant side of things, it makes it critical. No longer a nice to have, or that should really be done that way. You have to have this in order to do business. So what an amazing time to be in your business. And so you did mention you had two tiers real quick, and I know we're approaching the end of the show, but you have two tiers. One is a master franchise that runs a certain territory with a group of franchisees. Is that true? And then you have individual franchisees that can run a business in a smaller territory, correct? So you have opportunities for both types of entrepreneurs. Is that right?
Yeah, that's basically the idea of it. The master franchise opportunity is definitely a higher investment level. It's something where someone who is interested in investing. I mean, the franchise fee is $98,000 on something like that, and then you're looking at investing somewhere in the neighborhood of $250 to $400 total. It is an empire builder type franchise, and rather than being built around, say, a brick and mortar location, it's much more of a hunter than farmer style franchise, right? So you can grow as quickly as you can grow your sales staff. Where the unit opportunity, we actually just got ranked by Entrepreneur as the number 2 low cost franchise opportunity in according to their ranking system, number 2. And what it means is someone who says, look, I'm looking to make a few extra bucks, whether it be on the side and just kind of keep my day job, test the waters out, see if I can make some extra dough, or it's an opportunity for people who are wanting to make a full career change into that unit level position. We have literally thousands of people who've done that and done it successfully, but it allows you to get into the game of business ownership rather than spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now you're in the single digit thousands, which is a lot more reasonable, especially when you're taking that first big leap of trust into your own business after a crazy time in the world.
Absolutely.
Well, as we sum up the conversation, we have a diverse audience of professionals and possibly future franchisees of yours. But is there any gold nugget, any tip that you could leave? And this would also be good for other franchise brands, other leaders, other franchisees, anyone that just in running and leading your franchise through this time. What is the one thing you've noticed that you're glad that you did, or any tip that you could share just getting through this time? It sounds like you guys are doing well, but I'm sure that that was on purpose in some cases. with your leadership. Is there anything you could share?
So a couple of quick thoughts. In terms of the franchise system, my one tip isn't really a tip at all, right? I mean, it's something we all belabor, but it's communicate, over communicate again. We deliberately went out of our way and did weekly calls with our master franchisees, giving them all the updates we knew about, and whether it was just, hey, let's all spitball together on, some ideas of what we're hearing from this part of the country or that part of the country. Communication was absolutely key in making sure we got through this, not only just getting through it, but, getting through it successfly. And then I literally just read this morning, and I had to share it. I was reading a book by John Maxwell, and he said, look, dreaming's great. He goes, but you can't take dreams to the bank. And I loved it, because that's something that sounds like my dad, frankly. I mean, it sounds like something he would say. But it was, it's have a dream of business ownership, have a dream of changing the world, have a dream of whatever it is you want to dream. But at the end of the day, it's okay. What's your plan to roll up your sleeves and get it done? And so I love that. And I don't care if you're you're owning your own business or you're an employee at a business. Okay, what is your dream? Your dream is to be the vice president of whatever, or the owner of the such and such. Okay, now the rubber has to meet the road. So dreams are great, but you can't take dreams to the bank.
That's right. Well said.
Words to the wise. Words to the wise.
Any additional comments before we wrap things up? What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Adam.
I thought he was talking to me.
Yeah, I was going to just say before you comment that I've always been impressed with your leadership, and we're going to be focusing in on leadership during this time as well. So when you're talking to those franchisors and franchise owners that are leaders of their companies, any tidbits or advice for them before we let you go?
So to franchise owners of their own companies, trying to think of something that I literally just read it the other day. He said, and I'm an avid reader. I'm a slow reader, like a painfully slow reader, but I'm an avid reader. And I'll get through a book, once every 6 months or something like that. But one thing, and so I'm gonna steal his quote. Was Mike Leach, the football coach. I've been dying for football to come back. And he goes, you're either coaching it or you're allowing it to happen. And so I've kind of taken that philosophy and applied that to my business. If something's not going the way you want it to go, you as the leader, you are the bottom, the buck stops with you. And so in football, it's an easy explanation. You're either coaching it or you're allowing it to happen. So think about that. I think about that in my business, and is it running the way I want it to run, or am I allowing for it to go in another direction? And what do I need to do to change that?
Yes, and a lot of franchisors are catching on to the fact that coaching their franchise owners and franchise owners coaching their staff, that whole coaching mentality is catching on to become very, very popular and very, very powerful strategy for business. Rob, how about you before we close? I'm sorry, Adam. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think you have to, the education process never ends. And so you just have to be in constant touch with your franchisees and coaching them forward so that they can continue interacting with the customers in the way that, the brand should be represented.
Well said. Well, with that being said, I think I'm going to wrap us up on that note. I think it's a great note. I love John Maxwell, by the way. I appreciate you sharing that. And us entrepreneurs need a little of that balance, right? The dreaming side and the no nonsense business side of things. And so it's one of the great things about franchising. So you have that combination in the network where you're weak, the network is strong, and that's what's great about what we love about franchising. So with that said, again, Adam, thank you so much for being on the show. Adam Povlitz from Anago Cleaning, President and CEO. We really appreciate that. I also want to thank our sponsors, Franchise Bible Coach, Again, the Fight for Your Franchise Challenge. You can learn more about that at franchisebiblecoach.com, as well as SEO Samba, which is the inventor of the franchise marketing operating system. And you can visit their website at seosamba.com to learn more about that. We again appreciate you, Adam. Thanks again for joining us on Franchise Bible Coach Radio. Bye for now.
Thank you, Adam. Bye-bye.
My pleasure, guys. Take care.